Hello, everyone, and welcome to the original Next Level Gaming Podcast. Happy New Year, everybody. We are back after a nice 2-week holiday break. I am Mike Mullis, a.k.a. Stinger NLG. And tonight, I've got a couple of special guests helping me fill in for Techno Fabulous. It is my friends from the Super Deformed Gamecast, John and Steve. How you guys doing today?
Hey man,
Mike.
what's going on, dude? It's
Thanks
real
for,
pleasure. It's a real pleasure to be here, man. I mean, yeah, you didn't mean to cut
thanks
you
for
off.
filling in. So we met. We actually met on a podcast called the Gaming Assembly and Broken Games channel, and we've been following each other, and I've been checking out your podcast, and you got some great stuff going on over there. Give everybody a little just a little once over of the Super Deformed Gamecast.
Yeah, sure. So we're compared to a lot of other podcasts, like this one and Broken Games and Abel Green, Chase Money. We haven't been around all that long. Steve, I think we started in like August, late August, early September ish.
Yeah, talked about it for the first time in maybe July.
Yeah, and then we got it together, and we're just a couple of guys. Steve and I are friends at work, and outside of the podcast, and just. I was like, hey man, I want to start a gaming podcast. It was as simple as that, and now here we are. So if anybody's listening, please visit us on YouTube. It's youtube.com/superdeformedgames, and you can also follow me at Mr. Megative with an M on Twitter, and Steve is SDGC_Steve. Quick shout out to our fellow podcasters Brandon and JT and Jeff and Brian and Gabe. All good guys, and you can check us out every Thursday on our YouTube channel at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I'm just happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me again.
No, and I appreciate you filling in. So John Place, our normal guy, he got a job after 2 years of being out of work as a electrician, and they are just killing him. So he's working 10, 12-hour days, and he said, Mike, I can't do this week. So I was really glad you guys are able to pop in, and your link for your podcast and your channel actually is in the description below. So please get over there and give them a sub, and help us out because we're all doing this together. And so we have a couple of nice things to talk about. Thankfully, the new year has brought us news, gentlemen, and good news, actually, and some stuff to talk about.
It's a lot of good news going around.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of start with recapping the holiday season. We at Next Level Gaming take what goes on in the industry way, way, way far away from the console war and the whole fanboy thing. So we kind of look at things in a more objective view. So when we were looking at holiday sales, and the stuff that was going on, the numbers that we're going through, and we haven't gotten December's numbers yet, they'll be coming up next week. But I think we got the gist from both Microsoft and Sony on how they did over the holiday season, and well, gentlemen, it was good. I mean.
Yeah, so I know that the PlayStation 4 came in at just under 36 million. This is something we talked about just last night, actually, briefly. The official number for sales for 2015 were 35.9 million, which of course is phenomenal. I don't think anybody, including Sony, expected sales to be quite that high. I mean, it's tracking above the PS2 at this point, which was the greatest selling console of all time. I think right now it's the second fastest selling console of all time, and that's not to take anything away from the Xbox One. It may be in second place, but it is also vastly outpacing sales of the Xbox 360. When you look at those launches aligned along the same time period, and I mean, to be honest, all the console war fanboy bullshit aside, I can curse on this podcast, right? I just want to make sure.
A little bit,
Okay, all right. I'll tone it down.
Clean, but you know what? Somewhat clean doesn't seem to get you viewers. So let's. How about we don't go F-bomb and we'll.
I'll
just
watch the
leave
F-bombs.
people.
Yeah.
Way to ask after cursing, though.
Well, here's the thing.
Well, I if you look at our chat channel, we've got Mike Ibarra from Microsoft watching. So why don't we keep it a little family friendly?
I can do that. Oh, Mikey Barr is watching. Really?
Yes,
Wow.
thank you, sir. We hope you enjoy it. It says it's his first time checking us out, so I'm hoping he likes it. We're gonna talk nicely about the Xbox, Mike. Do not worry.
I actually just picked up my first Xbox. I actually just picked up an. By the way, you want to explain to Steve who Mikey Barr is? I'm not sure he knows Mike, but he's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. So he is an executive at Microsoft. He works actually on the platform side. Did you see the Xbox conference at E3?
Yeah. I did. Yeah.
Steve, did you?
I did.
Okay. So the guy that came out that explained backward compatibility, that was Mike.
That's Mike. That's Mike.
So
I'm actually like slightly nervous now, knowing that Mikey Barr is in the chat room. So. That's pretty incredible, man. That's pretty high profile.
Yeah. So, and look, as we know, he says he doesn't mind language. All right.
Hey, fucking man.
Look, and backward compatibility, I think, had a lot to do with where Microsoft was this holiday season. Look, they haven't given any real hard numbers. I realize that Sony's given hard numbers, and they rightfully so. They're really, tearing ass. It is a popular and well-selling console, but the Xbox One is still doing absolutely fantastic. There was a sort of a report from a consultant on a podcast that said that of the 200 million Windows 10 devices that are out there in the last 28 days, 18 million Xbox Ones were active with Windows 10. Now, my theory has been that Microsoft's been at about 20, maybe touching 21 million overall.
That sounds about right.
And let me tell you, for what they had to go through from 2013 to now, there is nothing to be ashamed of. And their games, after all the talk of Tomb Raider, and we talked about it on the Gaming Assembly, it turns out that it just had a slow start. Those games had legs. Everybody, all three of those titles for Microsoft's holiday launch, Forza, Tomb Raider, and Halo, all have pulled over 1 million. We know Halo is probably over 2, and I was surmising probably shipped 4 if you count the 400 million that they did on it, which is phenomenal. Mike, we know what's going on in the industry, but Microsoft's on good footing.
I think one of the most positive stories to come out of the holiday season for me was the fact that Rise of the Tomb Raider sold incredibly well digitally in December. I can't remember I think Aaron Greenberg said it was well over 1 million.
And I'm happy about that.
Which is phenomenal because I've played it. My wife has played it. We actually got the Tomb Raider bundle on Black Friday. So I was like, it's time. I'm going to grab an Xbox One. It's a rare example, and this is why I think it was so fascinating. It's a rare example of one of those games that sells more over time as opposed to less. You know what I mean? Because most games sell. Most games make or break themselves within that first 2 weeks, I would say, right? And I think like another rare example would be Battlefront. I would be stunned if Battlefront didn't sell more in December with the launch, the release of the movie than it did in November. So I think that's great for Tomb Raider, especially since Rise of the Tomb Raider is just a fantastic game. It was
my game of the year. It's my game of the year.
Well, that's the thing. It was a lot of people's game of the year. In my opinion, it should have been nominated at the Game Awards. We discussed this on our podcast as we were watching the
As did we. And speaking of who I discussed this with, Mamacita, my boo, how you doing?
What's up, fellas?
We have on with us, we have John and Steve from the Super Deformed Gamecast. Say hi to Mamacita.
How you doing, man?
Hey, nice to meet you guys.
By the way, I just want to point out, I'm a former Marine, so no matter how many times you will probably tell me not to call you ma'am, I'm going to call you ma'am.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. I'm so cool with that.
How was your date?
Let's just say it wasn't really hot.
Aww.
That's not good.
But you know what?
It was all right. It was cool. It was cool. Let me stop. It was cool. It was cool.
You know what? You're with your boys now.
I shouldn't have said that.
It's all right. It's okay.
Oh, it was cool though. Yeah, I'm with my boys now though.
So we were just discussing how well the Xbox and PS4 did over the holiday season, and you guys, I don't know if you wanted to pop out the chat or not to be part of in here, but Michael
Yeah, no,
Bosley says Semper Fi, brother.
Yeah, no, I just responded. Yeah, chat is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I'm really happy we got the chat
wow.
room going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So and Mama, we have Mike Ibarra in the chat room hanging out with us tonight.
Oh, we do.
I know.
Awesome. Awesome. Hi, Mike.
May have to. And Mike's a former Marine as well.
Okay.
So
Is he
yeah,
really?
We're gonna
No
have
shit,
to.
Semper
You know,
Fi.
I'm
Wow.
hoping maybe I can sweet talk him one day into coming on and talking about the backward compatibility a little more, maybe giving us some platform talk
Hold on.
because
I gotta.
some of that stuff is so fascinating.
Mike, come on to our podcast.
Yeah. Please,
But
Mike.
seriously, I mean, I honestly believe that, and I said this a few minutes ago, I honestly believe that backward compatibility had a lot to do with Microsoft's uptick in sales for the holiday season, because if you really think about what they're doing, and now you have, I'll give you a great example. They're about to launch a new bundle for Rainbow Six, which is going to come with, of course, Rainbow Six Siege, and Rainbow Six Vegas and Vegas 2 backward compatible. So you're adding a 3-game value to this bundle, and I mean that's one of the things that they're able to do. Not to mention, I just went back through and played stuff like Prince of Persia Classic. I haven't touched Prince of Persia Classic in probably 2 years, but as soon as it popped up, I'm like, you know what? I got to finish that game. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike. He said he's not a Marine. He was just saying thank you.
Oh, okay. I thought he said he was a former Marine.
I know.
Hey, you know what? It's okay.
Yeah. So
Well, John just clicked the wrong thing on the PlayStation Store, so and he
Uh-oh.
just in the search.
I mean, have you guys been playing any of the back compatible?
You know what? You know what, Mike? Though you make an excellent point about backwards compatibility. Though I mentioned a few weeks ago, I think I tweeted it out, that my son, who has never owned an Xbox ever, he's been a PlayStation guy forever and a day, never ever owning an Xbox, purchased an Xbox One Thanksgiving weekend because of backwards compatibility. That was one of the defining reasons why he opted to purchase an Xbox One. So I do believe backwards compatibility is one of the biggest reasons why we have seen an uptick, and my son is prime example.
See, I said this maybe it was a couple of months ago, that I thought that was going to be a big selling point, and I was going to give it until sort of this E3 to find out if that really was going to be something that was a game changer, and I think that it is, and I think that what they're doing, and I don't take away, let me be clear, I don't take away what Sony's doing with their PS2 catalog. I think they're doing what they have to do. We've had some discussions about the technical aspect, and I think it's the same technical aspect that is probably hanging up, and of course, it would be great to have Mike on to talk about this. The challenges with OG Xbox emulation. Being that I'm an IT guy by day, I kind of sort of think I know what those challenges are, and I'm probably partially wrong, or all wrong. Who knows? But I understand what Sony's doing with theirs, and I think it's a noble effort for them to do that. But I think that if you're stacking them up next to each other, emulating the Xbox 360 was probably the right call for now because of the way they can do it. And then they can do it with disc, which I don't think can be done with either the Xbox or PS2 games on their respective systems for technical reasons.
Do you think... I'm sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was getting ready to say, any thoughts from you guys?
Well, I was curious as to what you thought, because I signed up for PlayStation Now, and I find myself I think I've had PlayStation Now for like, I don't know, a month, or not a month, maybe a year, and I think in that time I've used it maybe like once or twice. So it feels like with Microsoft implementing backwards compatibility, the Xbox One, which I thought was a great move. Um, it makes me wonder, one, how badly has that undercut PlayStation Now, and two, what does that mean for the future of a paid streaming service going forward? Because now that to be honest, Microsoft has a more attractive option with backwards compatibility. Now that's of course pending, making those games available to play on the Xbox One. But I wanted to see what you guys thought about that. Like what do you see with with that BC capability that the Xbox One has? You can play those games for free. What does that mean for paid services going forward? I think that's a question we should be asking.
I really think we should ask that question, and I know, when, in my opinion, looking at the services, I don't think there's a comparison between a paid service and a free service. That's the biggest, that's the biggest discrepancy there. You're paying for one service, the other you're not. But I mean, I guess the question is there a market for both? I mean, I don't think my PlayStation friends would have a problem with not having to pay for those games if they didn't have to. I know they look over to Xbox and they say, wow, those guys are getting those games for free. And, but what other option at this point do they have? So it's kind of like you have to take what you can get at the moment if you want to play those games. And I do understand that Sony was looking at, tapping into a market. There are a lot of people that purchase PlayStations that had never owned a PlayStation, whether they came from Nintendo or Xbox. So I understand them wanting to provide a service for those folk that, didn't have access to those games before. So that makes sense. But I just don't think trying to compare those two services is really to me, it's almost like comparing the Apple iPad to the Microsoft Surface Pro. I just don't think I don't think you can compare the two services.
I'll agree with that. I think there's not a one-to-one, but I do think PlayStation had to come up with something to get people interested in their old titles, because you do have all that content that you tap into when you make it available.
Mm-hmm.
It just happens to be for the last couple of months that they've had such big titles, I've had no reason to go on, but I might find myself in, say, January, February looking at what they have.
Well, I also think there's a difference in how they're being delivered. PlayStation Now is a streaming service, kind of like what with the Infinium Labs, what the hell was the name of that? The Phantom console and that kind of thing, was really going to be. And I'm not comparing those two. I'm only comparing them in the delivery, not the quality.
Yeah. Gotcha.
One is game streaming, one is actual ownership. The thing that I think can make a compelling argument for PlayStation Now is the amount of games that they have. I mean, if you look at their library, it's an impressive library.
It is.
There are games on there that that in some respects, as far as not one-to-one, but.
But the thing is, there's two things that strike me as odd. Well, one thing that strikes me as odd, and the other thing that strikes me as frustrating about PlayStation Now. And the one the thing I find odd is that they have games on there that they've released remasters for, like every single Uncharted game, The Last of Us, Heavy Rain is on there, Beyond Two Souls is on there, I find it strange that remasters exist for games that you can stream the PS3 versions on for. I find it odd. And the thing that frustrates me about PlayStation Now is that every time I log on there to try to play a game, the reason I've only played one game on PS Now in a year is that the games I want to play are never on there. That to me is that's just a personal thing for me. Like last week I was like, I could really go for some Dead Space 2, which is one of my favorite horror games of all time. I'm a big horror game guy. And I got on there and I was like, okay, well, I guess there's no Dead Space 2. The month before that, I really want to play Valkyria Chronicles because I love Valkyria Chronicles. And I logged on there and I was like, okay, well, there's no Valkyria. It's just that for me is that's a personal point of frustration for me. But
Well, I like the multiplayer aspect of it, so it might be that me and a buddy would want to play these games together, and if it was backwards compatible, we'd be able to use the share play function to do that.
after
But
you
you can't
stole
do
my
that with PlayStation now.
yeah, but after you stole my goal in Rocket League, I'm never playing a multiplayer game with you again.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
people have
there's
been
a
dropping
reason
off
I
the
only
friends
play
list.
games that have good campaigns.
Yeah, share play though, that's an awesome feature, I would say, on the PlayStation. Are you listening to me, Mike Gabber? Because we would definitely like to have that feature on the Xbox. I mean, seriously, that's an awesome feature though.
SharePlay
Well,
is an awesome.
It really is. Even if you're just hanging out with your friends online, let's say even if it's not to help me advance during a game, just watching
Well,
them play and hanging out and and shooting the breeze.
Well, let me say this about SharePlay, and I'm speaking primarily as a PlayStation 4 gamer. I don't have any bias towards any one console. I just primarily game on my PlayStation 4. Steve and I we do SharePlay on a semi-regular basis, and it works. When it does work, it's great, but it sometimes takes a long time to get that connection to go
Well,
stable enough to actually, stream a game.
Right.
So
You're right
it's
about that. You are right, and I will say I just increased my internet speed. I went from, I think it was 15 MPS, and I increased it to 100, and now I use a wired connection. So my connection now is it's a little bit more consistent with the PS4, and so there is some internet issues with that, I will say, on PlayStation Network. So but when it does work, it is a nice, cool feature to have, I will say.
That's why PlayStation Now is kind of an issue because that feature obviously can't double up on it. So going back and revisiting some of those other titles wouldn't be as fun. But PlayStation Now is more for those games that you never got to buy. You're not going to. I think it's more for the games I didn't get to play that I might still be interested rather than revisiting the old titles.
I think that's the same with PS2 games because they are charging for them.
Right.
But that's also two generations away. And
that's
honestly, I honestly believe I know he can't say anything, so I'm not expecting an answer. But my guess is that if Microsoft went back to do OG Xbox games, that they would probably have to do something similar to that because there's no. With the Xbox 360, because you can use the discs, there's a way to prove ownership. I'm not sure there's a way to prove ownership because I don't think you can prove ownership of your PS2 title on the PS4. If you put an Xbox 360 game into an Xbox 360, the title of the game pops up. When you put an Xbox One game into an Xbox One, or PS3, PS4, you get it. If you don't auto boot, the name of the game pops up. On an OG Xbox and a PS2, when you put the game in, it just said disk and drive, or it booted to the game. How does it know what the game is? Which is my whole point of why I don't think they can do disk emulation of those two consoles.
Well, I think disk emulation is kind of a pointless endeavor anyway because I mean, not a lot of people own these discs anymore. I mean, you're talking about games.
But you have to prove ownership.
No, I get that. But again, therein lies the problem because we're talking about games that are 2 generations gone. I mean, I don't own any of my old PS2 discs anymore. For just as an example.
I have a crate of Xbox games. Let me tell you.
Really, that's impressive. I do have my PlayStation 1 copy of Final Fantasy VII sitting on the shelf like a relic of a past era. But aside from that, I don't have any of my old games. And I'm not one of those guys who review I've got a lot of nostalgia for that period, but I tend not to revisit those games anyway, just for the simple fact that my backlog is getting so long at this point that I'm trying to get through that before I go back and start playing games I played 10 years ago. So that's just me though.
Speaking of, I think there's a Twilight Princess HD getting released in March. And I've looked at the Wii a few times, and the Wii U, and I may end up picking it up this time around, especially if it coincides with any kind of price drop.
Steve, you know what I would do? I would wait for the NX to drop and see if that has backwards compatibility.
So speaking of the NX,
that's a good point.
Yeah, speaking of the NX, and one of our Joel said, "Hey, what about Nintendo?" Well, Nintendo, I mean, Splatoon and Mario Maker actually have done very well this holiday as games. The Wii U console itself, not so much still, but
Wii U's dead. It's dead. It was dead.
As
It was dead
a
Metal Gear Solid.
platform, yes. But the games, I mean, look, for those games to still be kicking, and now I know the console as far as that platform is pretty much gone, but they have now decided they're bringing a Zelda out on it, even though they said originally they were holding off. So you know they're still trying to cannibalize some sales out of it.
Well, I think Nintendo is in a great position to reclaim a part of their former glory. I mean, so everything we've heard about the NX says several things. One, that it's supposedly more powerful than the Xbox One or the PS4. Whether or not that's true remains to be seen. But two, I mean, let's face it, Nintendo are the masters of innovation. They are. I mean, no matter your thoughts on the Wii, I mean, that was an innovative piece of tech. And first-party games as well. I mean, nobody does first-party games. Nobody has the first-party recognition that Nintendo does.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
Their catalog is insane.
It's untouchable.
Yeah.
And so I would love to see a resurgent Nintendo with, because more competition breeds better games. And it's nice that the Xbox One and the PS4 are doing so well and they're duking it out. But imagine the kind of quality we'll see if Nintendo comes back and threatens both of them. I've always been of the opinion that a three console cycle is stronger than a 2 console cycle, because gamers, above all else, we value choice, we value diversity.
Mm-hmm.
And with a strong Nintendo, we'll have that. I would love. The reason I haven't picked up a Wii U is because I knew that in 2013 it was dead. It was a dead console, and I don't like seeing that. I grew up, as I'm sure most of us grew up, on Nintendo. I mean, look at Steve's avatar there. I mean, he's got Kefka there. You know, I mean, we're all
Yeah.
I mean, we used to say
I'm the Sega fanboy of the group, though.
I grew up with Sega. Okay, sorry. All right,
I grew up with Sega.
So you're the outlier. But most of us said, hey, come over to my house and play Nintendo. We didn't say come over and play video games. We said come over and play Nintendo. And I want to be able to say that again. I want nothing more than for the NX to be a revolutionary console.
I've said it on this podcast many a time. The game that made me completely drop my single console fanboyism was Mario 64. After that, I was like, you know what? Nintendo is just as good as Sega in there, because Sega has there is not a day goes by that I don't pour a little out for Sega. Sega will always have a special place in my heart, not just for the games, not just for what I grew up with, but as a former gaming journalist, that's where I got my start. Was Sega sending me a Dreamcast and a system disc so that I could run, I could be senior editor for a Dreamcast site, and then that's what propelled me into next level gaming, and then to really being able to go to E3s and do all these things. So Sega, on many levels, will always hold a special place for me.
Yeah, but
that
do you
said, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, that said, Nintendo is just such a storied company. I mean, this is the company that saved the gaming industry single-handedly.
But this is how fickle the gaming industry is. I can tell you the moment Nintendo died, it was Final Fantasy VII when it went to the PlayStation. It was that one game, in my opinion, killed Nintendo. Because Final Fantasy was a brand that had always been associated with Nintendo, and Final Fantasy VI was the game. I disagree with a lot of people when they say that Final Fantasy VII was the game that came over here and changed everything for Final Fantasy. No, Final Fantasy VI was more popular than people realize. And when people in Japan, that's back when console gaming in Japan was still a thing. It was huge. It was bigger there than it is here. And when people learned that Final Fantasy VII, with its revolutionary graphics and its FMV, when Nintendo lost SquareSoft, I mean, think about it. They were never the same. The GameCube flopped. I mean, the Wii didn't flop, but the Wii was an anomaly, in my opinion. I mean, the Wii sold to a very specific audience. It sold to people who would never normally have bought a console and never did again. That's why the Wii.
But luckily for Nintendo, that was a giant audience.
It
Yes,
really
yeah.
was, and I was one of those.
Oh, we have one in the house. One of my
Yes, and
kids.
I was one. When I tell my my background and how I arrived at the more hardcore gaming. I was a Wii owner. Then I purchased a PlayStation 3 for the Move, and then the Xbox for the Kinect, and that's how I entered the gaming space. It was, and people would have categorized me as one of the a casual gamer, or as he just said. But for me, I stayed. I picked up and I started playing some of the more hardcore gamings, and I loved it. And I'm quite sure a lot of people like myself entered and still continue to play. But unfortunately, like you just say, some came in, they purchased it, they just wanted to dance, they wanted to play, the Wii Sports, the tennis games, and then they didn't stay with it. But my question to you all at this point, when it comes to Nintendo, even with the new console, do you feel like Nintendo seriously needs to adjust their online gaming community to mimic and match Xbox and PlayStation for the NX to even be successful?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so Nintendo has a large catalog of problems right now that they need to fix. One is the online component.
Yeah.
Because I would say that Xbox Live is a superior service to PlayStation Network. Both have their problems, but both function. Both are manageable. Both do what they're intended to do. Nintendo doesn't have much of an online presence. Their bigger problem, though, in my opinion, is they need a better UI next time around, because the Wii, I've used a Wii U. The Wii U's UI is a nightmare.
Yeah, but how are they gonna bring the more hardcore type gamers, or how are you gonna bring if they don't change
They
their
need
online community?
third party partnership. That is part of the reason the Wii U died, is because third parties ran from them in droves. And Nintendo very unwisely focused solely on first-party exclusives, which first-party stable than either Microsoft or Sony, in my opinion. My grandmother knows who Mario is, and she couldn't tell you who Nathan Drake or Master Chief are.
Yeah.
But you also need that third-party component, and that is crucial, especially in the day and age when we have games like Destiny and Call of Duty.
Yep.
These are the games, in my opinion, first-party games don't sell systems anymore. First-party games sell to loyalists on each system. And that's a great thing. I mean, people should support their first-party titles, regardless of what console you buy. If it's a good title, buy it. If it's a good game, buy it. But games like Destiny and Call of Duty and Fallout, those are the games that are selling consoles these days. And that's just the way it is. And it's a really interesting change from last generation.
Well, and what type of gamers are those? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to disagree, though, just because we've heard the one side of it. I think Nintendo doesn't need to go to the hardcore audience. I don't think they need to beat out Xbox or PlayStation on graphics and try and get those Call of Duty or Destiny guys over to their console. There's a huge mobile gaming market, and the success of the Wii U was found in bringing those casual gamers to the console.
But if they do that, Steve, they make the same mistake that they did with the Wii. I mean, the Wii sold like nothing we've ever seen before for 2 years, and after that, what happened? It went, and it fell off a cliff.
Remember, though, part of the reason that the Wii U failed was because a lot of people didn't know what the Wii U was. A lot of people, remember how many people thought the Wii U was an extension of the Wii?
And that too, but also you have to remember, I was one of those Wii owners that loved my Wii. For every family get together, every holiday, every occasion, we all gathered around and we played the Wii. And I was one of the early adopters for the Wii U. But when I purchased it, the first thing I began to look for was Wii Sports. I looked for my tennis games. I looked for my baseball. I looked for all the games that were on the Wii, because I thought, okay, now I'll be able to play these games, and I'll be able to play these games in high definition. And those games were not available. I also thought on the Wii U, okay, now I'll be able to put one of my movies in and watch my movies. I couldn't do that either. So that was a huge turnoff. And to me, they had an opportunity for all those casual owners that purchased the Wii. If you were going to update graphics, I mean, who wouldn't want to play their sports games in now high definition? Because remember, I think it was 720 at the time, and even maybe even 480, because it was very blurred on the
Wii. Yeah.
Yes, very blurred. So if they had at least had those games initially available, and they did not. Those games didn't come until almost a year later.
Well, that's the lesson from backwards compatibility, especially for that.
Wii U and Wii
well,
U
it's the theme, I guess, at this point. But consider this: the $29 billion for mobile games in 2015, and it's forecasted at $45 billion for 2018. And Z Huge is a guy that's looking at these numbers all the time, and he sings the praises of mobile gaming.
That's why the NX. But that's why the NX is being possibly rumored as a hybrid system.
I've heard that too.
That can breach. But here's the thing where I think I kind of agree with both of you. They have to strike a balance, and Mike in the chat room just said the core audience spends the money, and that's absolutely true.
Yeah,
I think all of us are good examples of that. We buy these at a premium price when the casuals wait for the holiday sales and stuff. But Nintendo is in a different position, because while I understand that, and I don't agree with it, but I agree with John that third parties do sell these systems now where people are not buying these consoles for Halo or for Uncharted or for those games. But they will buy a Nintendo. The hardcore will buy the Nintendo for a Zelda, a Donkey Kong Country, and a Mario in a heartbeat.
Yes.
So they have to figure out how to get the third parties back in their good graces just to fill out the roster. But they're going to sell that NX on the back of Mario.
And that's a good point. I was just going to say, give me an old school Metroid on the NX and I'll buy it day one.
Exactly. There are so many people that are angry that there's no Metroid for Wii U. I mean, I get it. I get Splatoon, and I get that Mario Maker for me was a dark horse, and Mamacita and I talked about this, and John and I talked about this. I thought Super Mario Maker was a dark horse Game of the Year candidate because, unlike all the rest of the games that were on that list that were your standard open world and all that stuff, Super Mario Maker did something that no other game outside of maybe the Little Big Planets and the Project Sparks and that kind of thing did, and that allowed you to create any Mario level you ever wanted. And I saw so much sharing of that over social media, and so many times I would see levels for you to beat and things like that.
That's why honestly, I'm sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that's one reason why I think Nintendo would be foolish not to put the NX out of the gate with backwards compatibility, BC immediately, because of games like Mario Maker, because there's an established audience, people love that game. That Mario Maker is a game that people can play for years and years and years, and those are the kind of experiences that are unique to the Nintendo brand, and those are the things that they need to propagate. So which is just another reason why I think the NX is going to come out with backwards compatibility in the box right out of the gate. I think it'd be foolish not to.
Solid
Go ahead,
move.
Steve.
No, I'm just agreeing. I think that would be a solid move. I mean, because that was a big mistake with Wii U. People were looking at it and saying, "Why am I buying this thing?" Like Mario Maker would have been a great release title.
Yeah. Oh god, that would have been a killer.
Or even just if you could go back and play your old favorite games from the Wii, but you're kind of left wondering, why would I pick this thing up for the price point that's nearly double what the Wii by itself was?
Well,
it did have this emulator though built into the Wii U that where you could play your Wii games. It did because I was able to do that. But
and the Wii did have GameCube backward compatibility.
Yeah, it did.
Did you have to buy it though?
No.
No,
you have to buy it off the store.
In fact, the Wii has on top has a door, and you open the door, and there are GameCube controller ports.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen this.
Yeah, it didn't have games though. The Wii U just didn't have. Not when I
It
say
had a
games,
ton
I
of
mean,
games, but it had shovelware. You're talking about shovelware. It had a
yeah,
shitload of
it didn't have its made the main games that sold the Wii. The people that purchased the Wii, those games just weren't available out the gate. Like the Wii Fits, the Wii Sports, those games where the Wii was really popular. I mean, and the Wii was the motion gaming. People were purchasing that to play tennis and in sports games. Not to say that the other games weren't there or weren't important, but they just weren't that wasn't the main reason. And we're talking about the casual gamer because that's basically who that console was pretty much sold to.
So Michael Bosley in chat just said, he just asked, did the Wii U name hurt it? Yes, it absolutely did.
I think it did too.
It absolutely did because, because
I agree.
What did they reveal before they revealed the console? You saw the controller before you saw the console, and so people thought, oh, the Wii U, it's a brand new controller for the Wii. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a touchscreen.
That's exactly what they thought. It was an accessory.
It's a cool accessory, and the thing, it flopped right out of the gate. I guarantee you that the NX. We all know that's probably not the final name of the console, but I guarantee you they're going to drop the Wii branding. That's done. That the Wii's the name Wii is going away. What is important for Nintendo going forward? And I think this is a nice segue into VR, is because that's the other big topic going on right now. Is innovation and more and consoles. As time goes on, they need to innovate. With Microsoft has HoloLens coming out at some point. Sony has VR. Sony has SharePlay. Microsoft has a really good UI. There's backwards compatibility in the box. There's all these things that consoles are doing now to innovate just to keep up with the times, and Nintendo has to do something similar. And hell, you've even got Oculus Rift coming out for PC. So do we think that Nintendo going forward is going to invest in something like VR? Because I don't see a hybrid mobile gaming console. I don't see that catching on with the core gamer. I don't care about mobile gaming.
But they're kind of in a catch-22 kind of predicament. Especially if they're looking at, if you look at Japan and then looking at, where, we look at where Japan is right now. Japan is basically a mobile market. They've moved away from console gaming. They're moving more into that mobile space. So I think some of the Nintendo and even Sony, and I'm not quite sure where Microsoft is on that right now, but it's kind of like a catch-22. You've got all these gamers that are moving into the mobile space, but then you also have a slew of gamers that are still console first or console only. So it's kind of like, what do we do at this point? I just feel like we're in a huge transitional period where it's kind of like you've got to just throw something out there and kind of see what sticks at the moment, because I just don't think Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft have really figured out where this gaming market is headed at this point. I look at my nieces and my nephews who are 10, 11, and 12 years old. They are not gaming on the Xbox, PlayStation, or Nintendo. They're gaming on their tablets, and they have those consoles in their homes. But when you come there, it's their parents that are on the consoles, and they're on the tablets. I don't
agree with that.
I don't understand it.
My kids are the same way. My kids are always on their Kindles, on their things. So
Yes.
I think the other piece of it that Nintendo looked at was Sony's remote play, which is I think what they're shooting for. I don't think they're shooting to make the NX another I can't even pronounce it, Ouya or the
Ouya, the Ouya.
I don't think they're shooting for that. I think what they're shooting to do is to make the mobile part more of a remote play thing than anything else, or maybe something that you take like they tried to do with the Wii U gamepad, where you had that off-screen play. So the kid, your son or daughter could go up to their room where the NX is downstairs. They could go to their room with the mobile piece of the console, if that's what they're doing, and we don't know that yet. If that's what they're doing, go up to their room and continue on.
I can absolutely see the NX working as sort of like imagine using the PlayStation 4 with the Vita as your controller, and then unplugging the Vita and taking that upstairs and playing the game on the Vita.
Yeah,
I can absolutely see the NX, because when they say a fusion of mobile and console gaming, that is kind of what I think that would be genius. I mean,
That
that would
would
be amazing.
That would be great because they know a lot of people, including myself, that purchased the Wii U thought that handheld second screen that came with the unit, you were going to be able to go to other areas of your home and use it and play the game, and you could not. You had to be in a certain distance of the Wii U for it to function. So that's another thing I think they kind of messed up as well, because they had the opportunity then with the Wii U to do that, and once you move outside, I'm thinking maybe 10, 15 feet away from the console, your game would stop. You couldn't watch Netflix anymore. You couldn't play the game. So hopefully they are going to address that.
I'm sure they're going to figure that out.
Yeah.
That's going to be all wireless. That's going to be like, I'm going to equate that to sort of the streaming Xbox to PC thing. I think they're going to figure that out and figure out how to do it directly from the console.
Yeah, that would be awesome, though.
I just want them to take a little bit of that mobile gaming piece and bring them back to a console, and then give them a reason to take a look at Xbox or PlayStation when they normally wouldn't. And we in the past was able to bridge that gap for a lot of folks. Mamacita, I think that's how you got into it. So
yeah.
I'd like to see them try and do something like that again, and overseas as well. I mean, China and Japan, like you said, are these big mobile marketplace. I think there's something like 86 million people in China, this according to Z Huge, that are very active mobile players. That's 22% of their active market of 383 million. That's a crazy number of people just playing mobile games.
Yeah.
Mobile games suck. I hate mobile games.
I hate them too.
well, and that's why.
I feel you on that. I mean, if you're just in a doctor's office and you just want something to do right quick. Okay,
Mikey Barr in chat makes a really good point. He says, and I'm not a mobile gamer, but that is what kids are playing these days. Young kids are playing games on Android and iPad. So he says, bring Mario to iOS and Android, call the NX the NES, and he'll bet $100 that every kid asks for an NES next Christmas, and I agree with him.
Every parent will buy it.
Yeah.
And
every parent will buy it.
In the chat room, Jamie Forshow said something that I didn't even think of. Now, he has no insider information. He's just saying this is kind of his thing. Random, but I think NX will have backwards compatibility for 3DS if the handheld unit rumor is true. That would be pretty. That would open up a totally gigantic game base, game catalog right out of the box. That's a pretty. If that could come about, that would be incredible.
Incredible, it would be.
You know what? I don't mean to change the subject, but there's been something on my mind. I've really wanted to ask you guys. I really want to get your thoughts on this because this has been like, and kind of steering away from Nintendo a little bit. And Mike, I'm not trying to control your podcast, man.
No, by all means. But let me tell you,
you invited two of us on.
But I have to tell you,
it's a super deformed takeover, man.
I have to tell you though, it's been nice to actually talk about Nintendo in a nice light. I'm tired of not being able to talk about Nintendo, so this was good. But what's on your mind, John?
So the big news right now is everybody has talked about, or Oculus Rift, price reveal. What is it, $699 or $599? I'm sorry, right?
And actually, it's good that you're talking about this because this was next on the list anyway. So see, it's still my show, damn it.
Uh-oh, did he curse?
There's two of us and one of you. And,
he's scared.
You probably can't see it here, but man, you don't want none of that, dude. All right.
Uh-oh. Triceps.
But hey, I was a Marine. What can I say? So the Oculus Rift, and people, there has been a very, very divided reaction. Among the gaming community. Some people are saying, oh, well, this is what we expected, and some people are just aghast at how much this thing costs. And me, I don't think what I've noticed is interesting is that pre-orders for the Oculus Rift have sold out. Like these things are gone, and they're you can't order another one until June. Now, granted, they may have made 10 of them. I mean, who knows? But I don't think that's the case. But what I want to ask is twofold. Is one, do you guys agree with half of Twitter and with in the fact that you're in the sense that this is the death knell of VR before it even began, or do you think it's not going to matter? And two, do you think Sony is looking at the price reveal of the Oculus Rift and the reaction and making changes to whatever the PSVR costs accordingly?
If they're smart, they are. If they're smart, they definitely will.
Yeah, but you can only do so much. You can't be a loss leader on an accessory. You can't. You could be a loss leader on a console, but you can't be a loss leader on an accessory. I don't believe that for a minute. Not
That's
something this important.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, though, I think that I've been of the mindset that VR and AR, for that matter, right now does nothing for me. Like, I have zero interest in it. So to tack on $599 for the Oculus Rift, and then don't forget, you've got to have a beast of a computer to run it. And even PlayStation VR, the latest analysis, which of course is never true. I don't analysis you take with a grain of salt, like somebody using VG charts as a source.
Laughable.
I don't believe for a minute that the PSVR is going to be anything under $400 as well. That's a big investment. Are they going to get the hardcore? As Mike said in the chat room, the core spends the money. You're going to get the core. They might sell. Oculus may sell 1 million of those, and so might PlayStation. But once you get past that, if those things don't dive in price in a big hurry, you're looking at the same issue that 3D TV had, where nobody's going to have it. Nobody's going to buy it.
So here, I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
And the other thing too is, all respect to the development community, but I have a hard time, and I've had a hard time with people beating on Kinect for not having a killer app and not having, these games are gimmicky, these games are this or that. With all due respect, I've seen 90% of what Sony is showing for the PlayStation VR, and some of that stuff looks like it should be on a Wii. That's not how you sell that. Now, Riggs looks really cool, and I'm sure that stuff like Ace Combat may look pretty cool, but that job simulator, I mean, stuff like that is not how you. If people are excited for that, and they're the same people who trash the Kinect, I've got no use for you.
And I have to totally agree with you on that, Mike. That makes zero sense to me. And I will say, I think I mentioned on a previous podcast, I actually tried out PSVR at PSX 2014. Okay, it was Project Morpheus, or at the time. I tried it out, and that was a pretty decent line at the conference. But I will say to you, immediately after they removed the headset from me, I began to feel dizzy, and the gentleman had to hold me up. He had to they grabbed the chair and they'd sit me down. And I would say that was an effect on pretty much, I'm not going to say everyone, but there was a number of folk, and I watched them once that headset was removed. Some had to, you had to kind of regain your equilibrium for a while, and it was not a great feeling. And when I walked away, that's the first thing I said. I don't want anything on my head. I don't want to participate in any type of virtual reality that's going to cause that type of sickness and that feeling. And it was similar to the 3D. When I tried 3D glasses, my eyes were blurry, and I had headaches for days afterwards. Now, is that just me? Okay, perhaps, but folk like me are not going to want to purchase a VR set with those type of side effects. So,
well, in my opinion, I think the PC guys should be praising the console gods, because if you didn't have all this VR talk elsewhere, the Oculus would be at least $200 more expensive.
Yeah.
They could have put that price point much higher, and they're not a one-to-one because the Oculus is not just going to be used for gaming. You could take a tour of a hospital before you go there. You could go tour a campus at a college. You don't need to think about it very long before you see there are all these other applications for VR on the PC.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is that I think anybody who's investing in VR right now, be it Sony or you know, whatever other company, I think in 10 years they're going to be very happy they did, because there are so many applications outside of VR beyond gaming. I've got a lot of thoughts on PSVR and on VR and gaming in general.
Well, this is the conversation that I kind of wanted to have on this, was what you guys felt about each of them, and whether you think, and maybe disagree with me, whether or not VR and AR is kind of the future where we're going. Because to be honest, and to be fair, nothing HoloLens is doing in the gaming world blows my skirt up either. Like, beyond, you know, beyond Minecraft on a table, I think that, like Oculus Rift, I think where HoloLens is going to be a lot more useful is in the medical field, in the business field, and I don't foresee myself putting on those glasses and just watching Halo being played on my wall.
Well, but you know what? I don't. So I'm gonna go off on my little tangent here. I think that I don't think that platforms like HoloLens or VR are meant for every single video game. I think these platforms are designed to be tailored to very specific experiences. Nobody wants to play Halo on the wall, and I certainly don't want to put on a VR headset and control Nathan Drake, because that's not the point of a third-person shooter. You know, playing is, you know, playing, for example, let's just say Gears of War. You don't want to be Marcus Phoenix. You want to play as Marcus Phoenix, because there's a story that revolves around this character, and there's a very specific narrative that's being told. That's the whole point of it. It's the same thing with Uncharted. You don't. The point is seeing the game through the eyes of Nathan Drake, not through the eyes of yourself, which is why. And plus, third-person games, just I don't understand how that would work in VR. You know, that's the whole point of a third-person game, is looking over the shoulder as opposed to looking in a first-person view. I think, for example, like HoloLens, I think would be great not only with Minecraft, but with games like, you know, like I know it's a Nintendo game, but like Mario Maker, any kind of game where you're creating something, I think is tailor-made for something like HoloLens. For VR, for like, you know, PlayStation VR. I think you know, the Skyrims, the Fallouts, the games where you're a blank slate and you are that character, an open world RPG. Those are the experiences that are tailored for things like VR, or something like, or imagine like a horror game, or like Silent Hill in VR. I think that would be incredible.
Yeah.
So I think.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
like or imagine like PT. I don't know if you guys have played PT or not.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the most terrifying things I've ever had fed into my eyeballs, or something like Outlast, which was Outlast scared the crap out of me. Can you imagine yourself in that asylum, looking around and going, "Oh shit,"
Yeah.
you know? So I don't see every game being released for either HoloLens or VR, and I don't see. Because it's not necessary. These platforms, these accessories are designed to be played with very, very specific games, which is why I think I am afraid that the same thing that happened to the Wii is going to happen to HoloLens and VR. There's going to be a few very good experiences on both, and the rest of it's going to be filled with 30-minute mini games that are nothing but crap. I think the applications for both are out just off the charts. I don't necessarily think their futures lie in gaming, but who knows? We'll see. But this is all conjecture anyway. We don't know much about HoloLens, and we don't know much about PlayStation VR. I mean, it's supposed to be releasing this year. We don't have a price point. We don't have a release date. And I guarantee
think $399. I'm just going out on a limb. I think $399 is your price for PlayStation VR.
I think if
You
it's
really
anything,
think that?
I think they have to.
Well, so here's the thing. People have been talking about, what's the price going to be? And since Oculus Rift is so expensive, then PSVR has to be the same. But people are missing the fact that Oculus Rift was designed for a PC that cost about $2,000, and PSVR is designed to work with a console that's $350. So no, it's not going to be as expensive as the Rift. It's just not going to happen. I think anywhere between $299 and $399 is the sweet spot for PSVR. Anything over that, and it's dead on arrival. Nobody's going to buy it.
I don't know that they can afford to. I mean, seriously, they need to. they really need, if they're going to at least even break even on what the R&D on this is, they're going to have to sell these by the boatload, and I don't know that they can do it and lose that much money.
Well, consoles.
$299. I don't think $299's having. I think that's out of their ability. I think
So-
if they had. Go ahead.
What I was going to say, and I see what you're saying, but so here's the rub. Almost all consoles are sold at a loss for the first 4 or 5 years that they're out, right? Like the PlayStation 4 was one of those rare instances where they were making money on a console. Now that they're dropping the price, I'm sure they're going to start losing money. But these companies make the money back on software. You know, like that's where gaming companies, that's where companies like Sony, Microsoft, that's where they get their bread and butter. It's sales from software, because software sells a lot more than consoles do. You know, combined. So I think they can afford to sell the PSVR at a loss as long as the games are selling it. And that's where I'm not sure that's where I think their Achilles heel might be.
And here's where I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. And I'm going to give you this example. And Mike Ibarra is bringing it up. If it's too high a price, it'll be very hard to sustain developer engagement and support without a ton of users owning one. So here's where I kind of where I think the problem with $299 is when you're talking about a console will play every game you put into it. You have a lot more of a catalog for your consumer to buy. On an accessory, and Kinect was the same way, especially after they pulled it out of the box. Now you have a very limited amount of games to go with it, and unless you can somehow get every developer to throw 5 or 6 games on that accessory at one time to give you a stable catalog, like a launch catalog that has something for everyone, you're going to have a heck of a time selling it. And then when you have a heck of a time selling it, then you're going to go the way of many other accessories that died out very quickly. And now you're talking about something that you can't recoup your R&D costs on. This isn't like selling Rob the Robot. This is selling something that both Oculus and PlayStation, and for that matter, Samsung and HTC have dumped a ton of money.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
They're putting up big bucks. I mean, this is a huge risk.
Well, Steve, was it you who told me that you have a friend who has the Samsung VR and he says it's legit, like it's the real deal?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but it has to do with mobile gaming, and I just didn't want to talk about mobile gaming anymore. But I will mention he got a Samsung VR, and you could just plug your phone into it and play some crappy games. I guess you look at things.
Play some Angry Birds. See those birds coming right at your face.
It's like what he was describing is just like moving boxes with his mind. So I don't know. But he said other things that you could do on that were pretty interesting. Like you could go on a long walk or hike a mountain, or like they had the Martian landscape for you to like explore in VR from the movie. So that was pretty interesting. For example, I mean, he was watching Netflix on it, and you can put this thing on to watch Netflix, but instead of watching it with the screen really close to your face, you sit down in a room in like a mansion, and you see a TV, and then you play Netflix on that TV in a really nice house. So these are new ideas, and it's $100.
And if you remember, that's what Microsoft had envisioned for the Oculus Rift for the Xbox One. Was it was going to be that thing where you can watch, you could play your games in a virtual theater. But again, now you got to pay $600 for that, and nobody's doing it for that, for sure. And the analogy I kind of wanted to touch on, and I feel comfortable saying this because I think people who have followed me on Twitter and Mike and I'm followed by Mike, Phil, and Aaron. They all know how I feel about this, and I've made no bones about it. The one of the mistakes I always felt Microsoft did, especially at the launch of the Xbox One, was, because we talk about selling things at a loss, was a $499 console with Kinect. I never thought that they should have pulled Kinect out of the box because they did exactly what they shouldn't have done, which was segment their audience. What they should have done, which they're having to do now anyway with lowering the price, is launch that box at $399 with Kinect in it.
Yeah.
I think we'd be talking about a totally different
Yes.
landscape.
Oh yeah. I think so. I agree.
They could have weathered the DRM storm. They could have weathered the PlayStation 4 is a more powerful console storm by actually having that in the box at $399 and keeping it in everybody's home, because then the developers would have been a lot more open to making the games that I've been looking for, that I've been hoping for, that we're not getting. So that and that's beating a dead horse, and everybody knows how I feel about that. That's kind of why, John, I brought up why I don't think they can really sell these at a loss without them being DOA or not taking long to dive under. If that makes sense, if that makes any sense.
No, I think it's a good point.
No, it is a good point. And honestly, I've said it before. I'm primarily a PlayStation gamer. I own both an Xbox One and a PlayStation 4. But I play most of my games on my PlayStation 4. I've got the Xbox One for the exclusives, because 2015 was a much better year for Xbox in terms of exclusives, and nobody can argue that. I think the gap's going to be a lot closer in 2016. I think both are going to have a great year.
Oh my God, the games for 2016 on both consoles are unbelievable.
And that's a whole other topic. I mean, the games coming this year. I mean, I expect 2016. I expect this year to be the peak year for both consoles, both in terms of sales and in terms of games releases.
I don't think peak. I think this is where the uphill goes. I don't think they're going to peak this year. I think they're going to, but I think that they're getting. I think this is where they begin to make that climb of the mountain.
Well, I think it's a defining moment. I've said it last week. I think 2016 is going to be a defining moment for Microsoft, Sony, as well as Nintendo, because of, this is an awesome year to be a gamer. Just think about it. When you think about the games that are coming out, it's like, it even almost seems sometimes overwhelming, because I'm thinking, when am I going to have time to play all these games?
What are you guys excited for this year?
Well, it's real quick. People went crazy because Scalebound got pushed to 2017, and I mean, I saw people go nuts.
Yes.
And I'm thinking to myself,
yeah,
are you kidding? That just gives me more ability to play some of these games that I was probably going to have to miss this year, because I was, Scalebound was in my list.
Mm-hmm. So, and I'm not saying I wasn't disappointed, hearing it. It wasn't disappointing, but at the same time,
I take game delays that way.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with game delays. When I say disappointed, just because I'm really hyped for Scalebound. That's my kind of game. So there was some disappointment about it being delayed, but I'm like, okay, all right, well this happens.
There are different kinds of game delays. There's what happened to Scalebound. It was delayed so early in the year, which tells me that it had some kind of benchmark early on, and they said we need more time to iron the kinks out, because it did have kind of a rough reveal. It looks great, but it's obviously not done yet. It's nowhere near being done. So they said, look, in order to put out a product that we're proud of and a product that Xbox gamers are going to love and that they deserve, we need more time. And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
As opposed to a delay for a game like The Order, which was done and they pushed it to February as opposed to fall. And I know why they did, because I played The Order and it was boring as hell, and it would have gotten absolutely murdered had it released last fall like it was intended to. It would have gotten destroyed, and it didn't sell well when it released in February anyway. But so that's what I mean when I say there are two different kinds of game reels. Delays. There's delaying a game to make it better, and there's delaying a game to get it out of the way of heavy hitters like Call of Duty and Destiny, because you don't have a great product on your hands.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I would put, look, a section of people made a big deal because Uncharted moved 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, that's not a delay. That's a slide.
I didn't get to think about that. I mean, it's one of those things where, look, The Last of Us was delayed a couple months, and they took a game.
Drive Club was delayed a year.
Yeah, well, and Drive, but you can't really, because Drive Club was a mess when it launched.
But it was but imagine what it would have been.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They did a lot of work in a year with that game.
I think The Last of Us is a great example. I mean, they took what might have been an 8, and in a few months that game was a 10. I mean, you could argue that The Last of Us was one of the generation-defining games of the 7th gen. It was just, yeah, it was a masterpiece, and nobody can argue otherwise. And so a delay can make. Well, it was Kojima who said that a delayed game can be fixed. A bad game is bad forever.
Miyamoto, I think, said that.
Was it Miyamoto?
Miyamoto said that.
I thought it was
I have
Kojima.
to look that quote. I'll look that quote up while we're
He was
talking.
Japanese. Whoever said it was Japanese. It was a Japanese guy who said that. I know he was
Good
Japanese.
Good comeback.
But no, I was wondering, what are you guys interested in this year? Because there's so much to choose from coming this year.
And while we're talking about it, guys on our chat in the chat room, please also chime in. I know Mike Bosley's already chimed in, so we'll get to him. But after we're done, anybody who's who mentioned what they're looking forward to in the chat box, we'll get you in. Mamacita, start with you. Ladies first.
Ladies first.
Oh wow. Well, of course, we've got Quantum Break coming up, and Recore for me, and Horizon Zero Dawn. Those are probably now my top 3 games that I'm looking forward to play. Crackdown is another.
That's an interesting game too. We'll get to that in a minute. That's kind of an interesting scenario that's happening with.
But I liked Alan Wake, so Quantum Break is just for me. It's I mean, I've always liked that type of, that time bending, and Alan Wake was different. The gameplay in Alan Wake was just so different than any type of game that I had played up to that point. So I'm just really excited to see what they're going to do with Quantum Break. And Horizon Zero Dawn, I'm seriously stoked for that one, and I love my female lead. I'm kind of partial to that. So so that game just looks wild, crazy to me, and I just can't wait to explore the world and kill the dinosaurs or whatever. I'm just
Dinobots, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, whatever they are. But it's just so many. But those are probably my top 3 or 4 for 2016 for me.
Very nice, Steve.
I think my earliest one is Far Cry Primal. I think that looks pretty good, and it demoed well. I'm really interested to play that.
Brandon's going to be pissed off at you for saying that, but keep going.
Yeah. What else can I say to piss Brandon off? I'd love to say. I was looking at Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. I had mentioned it before. I really may pick up maybe a used Wii U for it. I would definitely play that game again. And Tom Clancy's The Division. I play a lot of multiplayer stuff, so I'm interested in that. It's been in development for a while. I've heard some rumors, good and bad, so I'll be interested when that comes out. Certainly play it.
Nice. All right.
Those are my 3. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we weren't looking for a concrete number. If you've got a lot of money, you can tell me. You can tell us all about all the games.
I should have said 2.
Well, yes, I had known that. I would have gone on and on and on.
I didn't say 3. I just said what games you said. What games you looking forward to? John.
Well, right off the bat, Dark Souls 3. I'm a huge Souls guy. I got my Bloodborne Platinum.
Good. Good for you.
I love those games. Always have. So Dark Souls 3 is my number 1 most anticipated game of the year. Uncharted 4 is a big one for me because I love Nathan Drake. I love the story, and I want to see how that ends. Horizon Zero Dawn is a big one for me. What else? The Witness, which comes out at the end of this month, because that to me, like I grew up on old PC games like Myst, and that to me looks like a modern day Myst. So I'm down with The Witness. It's a long ways off, but Gears of War 4. I'm a big Gears of War guy from back in the day.
Yeah.
So Gears, and I think it's just been called Gears 4. So I've only seen it being marketed as Gears 4.
Yeah. That beta is coming. Thanks to my friend Steve Rules on Twitter and the Xbox Uncut podcast, who reminded me that beta is coming in the spring.
Doom is I'm loving the fact that we're getting a new Doom. So I'm really excited about Doom. now that I have an Xbox One, I can play a bunch of the exclusives on Microsoft. So, I mentioned Gears 4. Recore, even though we haven't seen much about Recore, I'm intrigued. And I just think the concept art is beautiful.
Yeah, that has
I do have my concerns about Quantum Break. All respect to any Microsoft fans. I'm a Microsoft fan. I don't hold precedence over any one console or the other. My only concern about Quantum Break really is that we haven't seen much of it, and I don't. It's coming out fairly soon, and I still don't know much about it. And I don't know. I need to see more about Quantum. I'm a little more cautious about Quantum Break. Having said that, I'm very excited about Recore, and Gears 4 for me is the big one for Microsoft this year. I love Gears 4. So really looking forward to that. And I feel like there was another Xbox game coming out this year that I was really intrigued by. Oh shit! It wasn't Ark. I still need to play Ark, but
I haven't either. I can't lie.
I need to play it. Halo Reach 2, I think it was.
Halo Wars 2.
Halo Wars 2, yes. Yes, I'm very interested in that as well. But more than anything, I want this year, more than any game that I want this year, I want to be able to change my name on the PlayStation Network. Shuhei, please.
That's
please.
Okay. You get that.
I want friend notifications online. Friend online notifications.
And maybe I'll finally get background music on the Xbox One.
Oh yes, please. That would be cool. That would be cool.
And you know what would be nice? And I'm starting to think this is outside of, and if he's able to say yes or no, Mike, please do. I'm trying to stream more for the NLG channel. It's very difficult on the Xbox One to stream a multiplayer game because you can only hear me. I would love to have the ability for party chat in stream on Twitch on the Xbox One.
You know what I think would be a really cool feature for Xbox One, and I don't think it has it, would be to be able to stream directly to YouTube.
Now, I've actually talked to YouTube about that because I asked the person who's in charge of that. There's a technical piece to that they're working out. I'm not going to let me not put words in Mikey Barr's mouth either. Sure. I don't know what the deal is with that, but that's what I was told was there was a technical a component to that Microsoft has to give Twitch access to. So that may be something coming. But I would love to have that too because that would honestly make some of our NLG plays a lot easier to do. So my games. Now, let me start with one that is off the wall and no one's going to understand but me because I have a crazy, bizarre love affair with Team 17. They're a smaller indie developer. But I have been playing Worms for 20 years, and I cannot wait for Worms WMD, which is coming out sometime this year. Yeah. Right now, it's just early 2016, but I am a freaking Worms fanatic, and I can't wait for that game.
Wow. All right.
So
nice.
I just want to make that clear.
Well done, Mike. Because I heard John go, and he named every title in 2016. I'm like, what is Mike gonna say?
I'm excited for all the games. All the games. I want them all.
So, what can Mike say at this point? Well done.
I know. There's no games left for me to like.
Damn, I was gonna say Worms next.
So I'm gonna totally disagree with you about Quantum Break because and again, this goes back in my years and years and years of gaming. There is nothing that Remedy hasn't touched that hasn't been gold, and it goes beyond Alan Wake. I swear I wish they owned the Max Payne IP because I would love to see a next gen Max Payne from them with that. Remedy has this thing. The reason I'm not concerned about Quantum Break in any way, shape, or form, the one thing Remedy is so good at is storytelling. And I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that the story behind Quantum Break is going to be absolutely perfect. I can't. It's just an experience that I have. Mamacita brought up Alan Wake, and I got to tell you, I mean, that was just an encapsulating game.
I love Alan Wake.
Yes, it was.
So, and when they're done with Quantum Break, Phil needs to have a discussion with Sam and and get Alan Wake 2 on board.
Yeah, make an Alan Wake
It
sequel.
happen.
Yeah.
But so beyond that, Gears 4, absolutely. I'm a big Gears guy. Recore's another one, and I'm glad you guys are bringing up Recore because that's going to be our last topic once we get through this. Sea of Thieves.
I forgot about Sea of Thieves.
I'm anxiously waiting, and I've been in. I can't say much about it because I don't want to get kicked out of the beta. But I've been in the Fable Legends beta. When that hits open beta, I implore them to get on that open beta because a lot of what I'm reading online about what people think about Fable Legends, they need to actually play the game because some of them are dead wrong. And this game, the best thing I can say is that this game is going to surprise people in a way that I don't think they understand. So I'm waiting on. I'm actually playing Fable Legends in beta, so I can't say I'm waiting for it. I just know it's a good game. Uncharted 4 is going to be what finally gets me my PlayStation. I'm going to figure out how to be able to afford it by then because I got to have Uncharted 4. And Crackdown 3. That's going to be another one. I cannot wait to see what this whole multiplayer power of the cloud thing is. The way that they presented it was something special, and if they can deliver on that, you're talking about a game changer that's going to actually ripple through the gaming industry, unlike VR and AR and all this other stuff we're talking about. If they can pull it off, that's innovation for me. So
yeah, I agree.
All right, so real quick. Oh, and Doom. I'm glad you brought up Doom too, because I was in that alpha and I was really impressed with it.
Oh, you lucky bastard!
Well, I do still have a little pull with people, just a little. I still have some. It's funny because some of the people that I've dealt with back in the early 2000s when I was running Next Level Gaming as a website and doing a lot more press work than I ever do now. A lot of those people that I know are still in the industry, so it's kind of neat to catch up with a lot of people. So real quick, so on the chat channel, let's see. Jamie for show is definitely waiting on. He's anticipating Quantum Break, so that's his game. Mikey Barras is Gears 4, Zelda, Uncharted, World of Warcraft Legion,
Interesting.
and Ark.
Mm.
And Jamie, I don't know if you guys know Jamie on Twitter. He's Jamie Moran.
Yeah, hello, Jamie.
Has a love affair with Mass Effect, so of course. He is waiting for Mass Effect 2 and 3.
Andromeda, yes.
I didn't even think about Mass Effect.
Yes, I didn't either. Yes. Oh gosh, it's just so many
Bosley
games.
says Ark seems to be blowing up, so he likes Ark. Doom, Sea of Thieves is one of his, and Halo Wars. And that's it. If anybody else is in chat and wants to jump in and give us a game while we're talking, we'll be glad to talk about it. So I wanted to end with one more discussion, and it's one that I think John and I are in total agreement with off the bat, just from the little bit of back and forth on Twitter. So Recore got pushed back a couple of months, I guess, from what was supposed to be spring to second half of 2016, which again people went crazy about. I don't know why, but they added PC Windows 10 as a platform. So now officially, Halo Wars 2, Fable Legends, Recore, Sea of Thieves, Gigantic, Killer Instinct, and Gears of War Ultimate Edition, Ori and the Blind Forest will all be Xbox One and PC. When Recore added PC as a platform, my Twitter feed went absolutely berserk.
People lost their minds.
And it was about how these games that are now being announced, these quote-unquote Xbox One exclusives were now being put on PC and devaluing the Xbox One. And now, why would anybody want to buy an Xbox One because you can get these on PC?
Well, I mean,
But
why
one
would
of the-
why would anybody? Why would any? I mean, you can make the same argument for Arkham Knight, or
Sure.
Assassin's Creed Syndicate, or any other game that's released on PC.
Well,
You know, or Street Fighter V for the PS4, which is also coming out on PC.
Final Fantasy.
You know,
Those are coming out on PC.
Final Fantasy 15 is coming out on PC. I mean, Final Fantasy 14 is on PC. You know, so when they say these games are console exclusive, I don't consider the PC a console. And there's nothing against PC gamers. I own an Alienware Alpha. It's a Steam machine. I play games on Steam, but it's not a gaming console. It's a PC is something you use. A computer is something you use for multiple functions. Gaming is just one of them. A gaming console you use primarily for gaming. So when you say something is console exclusive, I take it as that. So yes, ReCore, in my opinion, is a console exclusive game. And you know what? Most people with Xboxes will buy it for Xbox. Period. So I don't.
Well, to Mike's point, I mean, I'm always looking for a reason to pick up an Xbox One, and this is going to keep me from getting. I can get that on the PC if I have a good reason. You know, I should have bought one when Titanfall came out, but then I waited, and I didn't have an issue passing it on more than one occasion at this point. But a game like this, I see it. I would totally pick up an Xbox One until I see it's coming out on the PC, and then I'll just pick it up on the PC. It won't be as much fun, but I won't have to drop an investment in a new console.
But the thing is, Steve, though, is that most people aren't going to buy an Xbox for ReCore. Most people are going to buy an Xbox for something like Quantum Break, you know, or like Gears 4. So I'm not sure that argument holds. You know, I'm not sure that argument works here, though. I mean,
well, you also have to decide, you know, are you going to buy, if you don't have a rig that can do it. I don't have a gaming rig. My PC, what we're doing this hangout on right now, is my work PC. It doesn't have the power to play ReCore. And you know what? I'm not going to. And let me tell you, in my youth, in my college days, I was the guy, the PC gamer who had dual Monster 3D FX cards in his rig. I was Sly before Sly was cool. I was going over to people's houses with my 20-inch monitor, you know, in my bag and my station, and we were doing LAN parties of Quake and Doom 2. So I know all about hardcore PC gaming. I'm also 42 years old now, and I don't have the time or the upkeep or the money to put into a high-quality gaming rig that can't even play Batman Arkham Knight correctly. So for me, I'm a console gamer.
To be fair, Mike, I don't want to interrupt you. There's no PC on Earth that can play Arkham Knight correctly.
Right. Oh, now Mikey Barr is just showing off. I have 2 Titan X's and a 32-inch 4K panel on my PC. Well, Mike, I got a 72-inch DLP on my stand in my living room, and it's not 4K, but it still looks damn good. But you know, I get to sit down at my couch and grab my Xbox controller, grab my PS controller, grab my Wii, whatever console I'm playing at the time, and sit back and enjoy that like that. Where I think, and you know what, before I come back to that, Mamacita, what's your take? Because I want to make sure you're in on this.
Well, I was just kind of listening to you guys and listening to your point of view before I gave mine. I have a pretty interesting perspective on this. I think, though, some of the folk that are upset about ReCore going to PC are that segment that does not want Sony or, you know, other console owners to say, I'm able to play Xbox games and I don't have to buy an Xbox One. And I think that infuriates so many. But at the same time, okay, you're not purchasing an Xbox One, but you're still purchasing Microsoft's game. ReCore is still that. When you purchase that game, Microsoft is still going to get paid.
So you think a big part of this is fanboyism?
I do. I think a huge part of that is fanboyism, just not wanting the other, you know, console owners to say, I'm able to play your games. But you make a valid point in that, you know, other games, you know, other third-party games go to PC, and that doesn't take away from the sales that are on the Xbox or the sales that are on the PC. And I look at that position that Microsoft is in. They just announced that there are 200 million active Windows 10 users. Why are you going to leave those users and that money on the table? Why aren't you going to go after them?
Exactly.
It's a business decision.
Yes, it is a business decision. And then you've got to think about it, where they're placing these games. Now, I know when they released their 2016 games, there were certain games that said Windows 10, and then there was a game that actually said Steam. So is there a difference between if this game is going into the Windows 10 store or is this game going to Steam? Now, regardless, Microsoft is still going to get paid for
Windows 10
that.
store.
Windows 10.
Store. Well, that's Microsoft's platform, and that is to me, we're looking at it as a console versus, whereas Microsoft is looking at unifying their gaming community. If whether you're on Xbox or if you're on Windows 10, so would you rather them call the Windows 10 Xbox store? Would that make you feel better if they do that? For those that have an issue, that's my question.
Now you boys see why I have her on the podcast?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. What do we just say now? We just say, yeah, we agree now?
Yeah. Well, here's and to her point, which is what I was going to say, but she really made a much stronger point than me. When you spend that money, let's say, and she said 200 million, so we know north of 18 million are Xbox. So take that out. So now you're down to 180.
That were active. There's a caveat to that. That were active in the last 28 days. We don't know how many are inactive.
Right.
That was active. Past 28.
I'm going to take that number as it is, just for this scenario. If 10% of what's left, just 10%, are gamers, that's still almost 20 million people you have to account for when you sell your game. Why would you not make a play for those people? And the cool thing is, so let's say Recore sells an extra 2 million units. Let's say it sells 2 million on the Xbox One, does great at launch. It's a great game. Let's say it sells another 2 million on PC. So now you got 4 million strong. They've made enough of that. They've made money. And now they could take that money and put it into their next game, which is going to come out on the Xbox One regardless of whether or not it comes out on PC. So it doesn't matter to them where you buy it. And Mike has a good point. He says everyone has a choice. People should be able to play where they want to play. Every scenario has its advantage, disadvantage. The good thing is Xbox Live is everywhere. And the point I'd like to tack onto that is Fable Legends. I am very excited to be able to play that on my Xbox One, play it at work on my lunch break if I want to, have all those stats saved in one area, come back home, jump back into that game on my Xbox, back on my couch where I'm comfortable, and I'm right back where. And if my buddy's playing on PC because he's at work or he's at his PC and he's not near his Xbox One, so he fires up Legends on the PC, I can still play with him. I mean, that choice, I think it's something that Xbox, the Xbox community, I think, is taking a sort of a wrong approach to this, in that Microsoft, this isn't, I've said this before, this isn't Steve Ballmer's Microsoft anymore. It's not Don Matrick's Microsoft anymore.
It's not your father's Xbox. It's not your father's Microsoft.
Yep. This is Phil's Xbox. This is Satya's Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are looking in a global positioning. They want to be able to reach not just 20 million Xbox owners, but they want to reach 40 million gamers, 60 million gamers. And you just can't leave that money on the table, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
At the bottom line, at the end of the day, Sony and Microsoft it's a business, and they need to make money. And would you rather market your game to 10 million people or 20 million people or 200 million people?
And they're always going to sell the Xbox because they need that bottom line too. It's the reason reason that third parties are not going to abandon the Xbox because they're maybe 15 million behind worldwide on the PS4. There's this thing called the bottom line, and especially here in the U.S. where that gap is not that big. The fact that over the holiday season, a game like Fallout 4, which is a big title, sold more copies at retail on the Xbox. That shows that that the Xbox brand is still very powerful, and in the console arena, nobody's going to walk away from that money.
Yeah, and Call of Duty Black Ops 3 did as well. And there's right.
That's why they took October.
Right. So third parties here. Now, Japan's a whole different. There's a reason that Microsoft's not getting Japanese games. There's a whole different culture, mindset, and there's a whole different scenario over there that I don't know they have the ability to overcome, no matter how hard they try. Not completely their fault, but some of it is, and they know it. But over here, no company, and in UK, Ubisoft, EA, Activision, none of them are going to walk away from either of these consoles if they fall behind from the other, because there's too much of a bottom line sale that they're not going to walk away from a million sales on the Xbox One simply because 1.5 million sold it on the PS4. It just doesn't work that way, and that's the same thing with this Windows 10 addition to the Microsoft games. If I'm them, I am trying to market as hard to the Windows people as I am to the Xbox people, because that's gonna that is where their sales numbers are gonna hit the roof, and that's where their monthly active users, which is what they're counting now over console sales, because that's your subscription money. That's where that takes off.
Yep. No, I completely
I
agree.
agree. I agree with that.
You're a wise man.
Yeah.
No.
I'm surrounded by wise people. So, hey guys, this has been, by the way, a very enjoyable night. I don't know about you guys. I'm sure you all have full-time jobs that you have to deal with during the day and during the week, and coming out on a Friday night to podcast, I'm sure at the end of a long week, sometimes it's hard. And for me, 3 kids at home and not getting a chance to. This is my downtime, and this has been some of the best downtime I've had in a while.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I broke out the camera just for you, so all your viewers could see how incredibly chiseled and handsome my facial features are.
Right, and so you turn off the light in the background.
Yeah. So I wanted to accentuate the ruggedness of the lines in my cheeks here. So yeah, I wanted everybody to get the full effect. Just so everybody knows how lucky my wife is.
Who's moderating this?
Oh my gosh, he's so funny.
No, it was I had a great time.
Yeah.
And thanks for having us on. And I'll throw Mike, if you don't mind, I'll throw one more pitch out there.
I was actually, because and Mamacita was late to jumping on, so I want her as well. But you guys go ahead first. For those who have joined us now who weren't on at the beginning, Steve and John are from a great channel called Super Deformed Gamecast, and John, give us the rundown one more time.
Yeah, one more time. We're very new, but we're growing. We've been around for just a couple months. We're only on episode 16, which we just did last night. Finally got our chat working. We're taking questions from our viewers, just like you are, and that was a lot of fun. You can find us at youtube.com/superdeformedgamescast. You can also follow me on Twitter. My handle is @MrMegative with an M. And Steve is I'll let Steve tell you his. I'm not his mother. But also I love you, buddy.
I'm not his mother at. You just put the at in the beginning. No, it's SDGC _ Steve.
And we go live every Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we talk games. There's no fanboyism, nothing like that is allowed on our channel. So we have between us 4 PS4s, 3 Xbox Ones, 4 PCs, 2 Wii U's, a Vita,
Nice.
3DS. What was that?
A partridge in a pear tree.
No, it really is. But please come over, and I just want a quick shout out to 2 groups of people. One, the rest of our podcasters who aren't here tonight: JT, Brandon, Gabe, Brian, and Jeff. They're the rest of our podcasts. They're good guys. And also, Mikey Barra out in the chat room, you are more than welcome on our podcast anytime you want.
Actually, it was a great group in the chat channel.
It really was.
Yeah,
You know,
it really was. Yeah.
it really was. You guys on the chat channel, I really appreciate the interaction. You know, it's nice to just be able to talk some games, kind of away from the fog of social media, and I think everybody knows what we mean by that. Look, and I'm about to type this in the chat room. Without them, the four of us are just talking to ourselves. So,
I do that anyway.
So, Mamacita, she's been on a couple of times now, and like I said before, you guys know why I continue to ask her on, because she is an absolute powerhouse and a fantastic woman gamer.
Oh, wow.
And don't think I don't. Let me tell you, don't think I don't see you playing Rainbow Six Vegas too, my lady. I know you have. I've seen it.
Yeah, I've been on it.
So you do not question this woman's gaming pedigree, or you have to talk to me.
Oh gosh.
So, as you can see from her avatar, she is part of the Classy Gamer Gals. So, Mamacita, please go ahead and tell us a little bit about your channel and what you're doing. And I'm going to add the link to your channel. Actually, the link to both of your channels, I shouldn't even have to add it to the description because it's on the right-hand side of our channel under our featured channel. So when you guys are done, go there. But go ahead, Mamacita. Tell them all about Classy Gamer Gals.
Well, Classy Gamer Gals is officially launching Tuesday, January 12th. That's our official date. Yay! And let me say this. I want to say that I have a newfound appreciation for what you guys are doing. Starting my channel and trying to get things in order for it. There's so much work to this. It's been so much work for me, I would say. So I really do appreciate those who've done this before, what the time that it takes to really do this and be effective at it. But we officially launched Tuesday. Candyland 2001 is my co-host, and there's tentatively a third co-host at this point. We are yes. So I'm looking forward to that. But we're talking games, PlayStation, Nintendo, PC, Xbox. But we're talking about it from a woman's perspective. We're going to bring things that I think that we want to address as a female gamer from our point of view. And that's not to say that we don't welcome the fellows, because a lot of the fellows we want have mothers and daughters and wives. So we want you to come and check us out as well. So I'm excited.
What she actually didn't say, Mike, is that I am actually the third possible host. I'm gonna get in touch with my feminine side.
Right, welcome.
I did want to put it out there like that, John. I did want to do that to you, but yeah, we are Classy Gamer Gals, and please, you can subscribe to our channel, and we appreciate all the folk that have messaged me saying, when is your channel going to launch, when I'm going to start seeing content. So we are ready to get rolling with that next week.
You have some content already. So.
Oh, yeah, I do. I released my top 10 funniest moments from the PS4, and I released my top 5 weirdest moments for the Xbox. And I promise you, I had to really, I had so many, but I had to kind of scale them down to what I thought was.
That sounds kind of biased.
On the Xbox One, you can only do top 5. It didn't have top 10. So that's
I'm just teasing.
For the Xbox, but I promise you, I had just as many on the Xbox as I did the PlayStation.
I'm just teasing. But and of course, when you guys get yourselves rolling, you and your lovely co-hosts are gonna join us now and again for a Guys versus Gals podcast.
Yes,
we debate some nice issues about the gaming industry. You guys bring it from the ladies' perspective. We bring it from the guys' perspective, and we come to common ground.
Yeah, we'll do that, but we're trust me when I say that we're coming with a wealth of knowledge and information, so you guys better be ready for us.
I know.
We will. SDGC will subscribe. We'll subscribe.
Cool, and I'll subscribe back too. Make sure I do that.
Yeah, I mean, this is what it's all about,
Yes.
I think that this is the true community. Not an Xbox community, not a PlayStation community, not a Nintendo community, a gaming community.
Yes.
And this is what it's all about. And you know, I have been really fortunate tonight to have three just really good, intelligent gamers with me, and I can't thank you guys enough.
Incredibly good looking.
Right, with chiseled. What?
What?
I'm gonna
You think this is an
stop there.
accident? This is all premeditated. This is.
Right.
All right.
And you're forcing me to bring the camera out.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm gonna a couple particulars for my site, as everybody knows. If you're watching this, you're watching it on my channel, on the original Next Level Gaming. Please subscribe to our channel. The more subscribers we get, the more of the content that you're seeing now. I am going to complete our King's Quest walkthrough Let's Play. Oh wait, I may not be able to say Let's Play much longer. I don't know if you guys know this, but Sony is attempting to trademark Let's Play. I don't know if you've seen that, but that's really bizarre.
That is weird.
Anyway, yeah.
Oh, cool. Oh, cool. My
yeah.
gosh. Mike, well, I'm sorry, but Mike and Barry just left a comment. I'm like, oh, can't wait to see this start. Oh, that's so cool. Thank you, Mike.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty
yeah,
cool.
he just left that. And I just subscribed to you guys' channel, too. Super Deformed.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate
yes,
that.
This is what it's all about.
It's what it's all about.
That's outstanding.
Anyway, yeah, I'm going to try to get that probably tomorrow night. I'm going to do a stream of the second half of that. So follow us on Twitter at OG_NL Gaming. Follow us on Twitch as well at OG_NL Gaming. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And hopefully we'll continue to grow. One other thing, and this is just going to be my very quick, and this goes for you guys too, because I'm sure you're going to monetize. On behalf of all of us small guys who monetize with ads, do us a favor. Go grab a soda while the ad's playing, but let it play. Look, my promise to our subscribers and our viewers is that what we're trying to do to monetize our videos is basically to put money back into the channel. I am working with developers and publishers to try to get review codes and things like that so we can cover games. That doesn't always work like it did in the old days. In the old days, we got every game under the sun to review because we were print. We had a ton of hits. We were up there with IGN and GameSpot as far as traffic, so we got paid attention to. And in all honesty, and I'm not saying this because Mikey Barr is in the chat room, but to be quite honest, Microsoft's a big part of our success, and I've made that known. But every dime that goes into on my channel, a video, an ad, a click, or whatever, goes back into the channel. In the old days, it used to pay for us to go to E3. Now, it could still do that, but it could also pay for us to be able to cover games, to be able to do things. So please, let the ad play. And for you guys, too, if you guys are monetizing your videos, let their ads play, because that honestly helps us out. I know they're painful, but,
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about for you guys too. I'm sure you're going to do this as well. I want your viewers to do the same thing.
Maybe
because that's how we can keep this going. Not everything is as free as it looks. So, so anyway,
Okay.
on behalf of my esteemed guests, who once again I thank very, very much for coming out and being
Thanks
with
for
me.
having us.
It was a great time.
Yeah. It was
Well,
great.
thank you.
So this has been the original Next Level Gaming podcast. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. I hope next week is a great gaming week for you guys. And as always, play on, gamers.